Hi, my name is Violet Valentine. I'm making 2008 style video blogs in the style of that time. Mostly info dumping about my movie God's Country, but as time goes on, other stuff that I'm kind of excited about, like my next movie. So I'm going to talk about that a lot tonight. I met this amazing person at Trans Pride. Their name was Bambi Minx. Beautiful name. And I was at Trans Pride and I saw them from across the friggin' things. And we looked at each other, and I think the first thing I said is, I think we're supposed to be best friends. And then we rubbed our boobs together, which was just incredible. Like, just immediate connection with a human being who loves their boobs and rubbing them against other boobs in public as much as I do. And from that moment on, we've been very close friends. They also happen to be an incredible writer. I'm sure we'll go on with them at length. I never shut up about them to anyone I know. All I talk about is how excited I am about Bambi, my muse. She's been very inspiring. And I told her that I was a filmmaker and we watched my movie together and she really jived with it. It was really satisfying to meet someone and like have them connect with your art, like, and totally get it. You know what I mean? I show my movie to a lot of people and some people like it. Some people don't get it and some people like really get it. And like all responses are good. I don't expect everyone to like, you know what I mean? There's like levels and layers and like different ways it's meant to be appreciated. But she was someone who really got it. You know what I mean? Like she like saw me in it, which was kind of cool. Like we had talks about it after, and it was like really intense. And she told me that she had a screenplay written. She told me she was a screenwriter, which was a lie, but a cool lie. And I said, let me see it, let me see it, let me see it. And a week later, she gave me a screenplay, and it was the best thing I'd ever read in my life. I've been looking for someone who can write like this my whole life. They write like me, but much faster. And and like same themes, same of the same stuff. Very inspired by movie in some ways. And then she told me she was really embarrassed. She's like, I didn't have a screenplay ready. I just lied and said I had one because I wanted to impress you. And she was embarrassed about that. But I'm from LA. Like faking it till you make it is cool. Like that's cooler than having a screenplay ready. Writing a screenplay that good, that fast to impress me, like that is cooler than being a screenwriter and having something on your thing. And it was so fresh and so alive. And I'm making it. I've been working on this movie for going on 4 years now. My first movie, and I love it. It's great. We spent so much money on it. I'm so proud to have made a movie like this. But it doesn't. You don't need to take 4 years to make a movie. The reason this movie took 4 years is because we had to raise money, and money is hard. What money buys you is not that important. What makes a good movie, and this is speaking as someone who just spent 4 years making a movie and figuring out what works and really being lost in it. And what makes a good movie, surprise, is good acting and a good script. That is all you need. You wouldn't even need a lot of things like, you don't even really need cinematography. If you had Paul Giamatti and a guy on a cell phone recording them, I would watch that movie. Not to say I want to make shitty looking movies. That's not my point. My point is, I spent 4 years to make 80 minutes of entertainment, and I don't think that's the best way to make movies. I think if someone gives me a lot of money, I will do something amazing with it, of course. But right now, no one is giving me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Somebody just gave me it. I managed to get money, but no one's. If I want to make a movie, I'm just going to make a movie. I'm going to hire actors. I'm going to have a good script. I'm going to set up a camera, and I'm going to shoot it for no money. I mean a little money because you have to pay certain people. You have to pay your sound guy for sure. No one should hold a boom mic for free. You know what I mean? Unless like I'm holding a boom mic and I've worked on someone else's movie. I'm a big fan of trade. I work on a lot of other people's projects for free, with the expectation or hope at least that when it's my turn, that's just making art with your friends. That's giving and taking. That's loving and creating art together. And I love working on other people's movies too because you get to see how they do it. And somebody said directing was like having sex in that you've never seen how other people do it and you're pretty sure they do it like you, but like, do they? Something like that. I always thought it was a good metaphor because like I have not worked on a lot of other people's movies. I think I'm doing it right. I'm doing it in a way that works for me. But yeah, it's always fascinating to see how other people do it. So I'm working with Bambi. Am I even recording? My audio's been bad. I understand these things. Moving on. So Bambi wrote this amazing movie called Bash, and the other thing is too is My first movie might be a little controversial. Like I have some stuff about Palestine in it. It's like anti-cop, it's leftist, but ultimately I believe it's an art house film and that those like subject matters are challenged in like an interesting cinematic way. I can't imagine the right wing getting mad about like a very artsy queer like art film. Like maybe they will. Maybe I'll watch this video in a year and be like, I was so naive. But I don't think it's that bad. However, I don't want to make something bad. For the record, I am not out there to make controversy. I'm a filmmaker. I like making films. I'm not trying to upset anybody. I'm trying to say something honest from the heart. And if that upsets people, what can you do? But I'm not out here to be a provocateur or like any shit like that. I just want to make good ass movies with my friends and make art that means something to me that I love. Um, and I worry about that sometimes too, because being a visible trans person, it doesn't take much for people to want to hurt you. So far, I've been lucky. I have a lot of friends who made films. It's not like the People's Joker is getting attacked by the right wing. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I worry about it too much. But this next movie is about Antifa. It's about queer gangs in Long Beach, like based on some true stories, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. But like realistic stuff that happens from the street about like Antifa and like chuds and like protests and that sort of thing. And I worry that that subject matter is going to attract some negative attention. Honestly, I don't want, I don't want that. I'm not trying to tell that story. However, the script is so good, and I love it, and I want to make it. So like, I'm just gonna make it, and like maybe that'll be a big mistake, but I hope not. I hope I can just make a movie. I gave it to somebody, like a Hollywood producer, and I said, read this movie for me. Tell me if I'm panicking about nothing. Like, is this movie the kind of thing that's going to ruin my life, or is it just another movie that people are going to watch and enjoy and move on? And they said I was freaking out about nothing. They said it was very familiar. There's a million movies about gangs. Um, it's basically like Suburbia meets The Outsiders. I think The Outsiders. It's like a Suburbia type movie, and that it's people have seen a million movies like this. Like American History X, like was like the most edgy version of a movie like this, and like do you know the name of the guy who directed American History X? Like, who fucking cares? It was a fun little movie. It was like edgy, and I'm worrying about nothing. So cool. Hopefully that's that. And I also have someone I'm bringing in who's like a Hollywood person to be like, could you make this R-rated? Like, I don't know how to make. I don't know what ratings are. I don't know what normal people like. I don't know what is like edgy or not. The world I live in, like, I could tell you, like, I can't tell you stories on YouTube. Like, leave it to, oh man. It's the end of the night. I'm always doing these things at like 5 in the morning after like a long night of my makeup being wrecked. So bear with me, internet. I'm doing it for love of the game here. But I lost my train of thought. I'm not even smoking weed in this one. What an edgy change for the regs. My movie with Bambi that I'm very excited about. And I'm bringing someone in because, I don't know what normal is. I don't know what normal people find edgy. I don't know, frauding humor. Do people even get that? That's like been big in my world lately. Like a lot of frauding jokes. Yeah, so I'm bringing in a normal person to be like, hey, too much? Not enough? Like cool, funny? Like does it make sense? Also, I've been like so deep in like in community references. I talk to my wife sometimes, and my wife is like a cis, normal, vanilla, like nice lady, like over 50, watches Law and Order every day. A very normal person, very sweet person. Maybe normal. I don't want to insult her with normal, but she's a very normal person. Um, and I spend all day on my phone on Twitter and my queer community or with my crazy friends, and there's a lot of like lingo. But sometimes after a long day on Twitter, I won't like click from like queer. I won't code switch from like queer to like married Law and Order lovers, and I'll just start going on about like tender queers, CNC, and like whatever fucking lingo I'm on that day, like sapiosexuals or whatever. And I need to like be like, oh, hang on, let me, talk like a normal person. like, like nobody knows what any of these words mean outside of our like my little world. Like, but yeah, having someone, I worry, like, I don't really worry. Like, if my movie's too in community, who cares? It's a cheap movie. That's the other thing about making a cheap movie. You can kind of do whatever you want. You can make tender queer jokes. You can make jokes about, like, discourse, like, our non binary people, like, get valid or whatever this dumb shit of the day is. You can like just kind of like make a movie about that and let it be for a small audience, and you're not into it for like six figures, like desperate to make it back at the box office. Like, don't want to live my life making it back at the box office, or just want to write a bunch of funny stuff, have the coolest people I've ever met get together and act them out, and then edit it and put it out and have a kick-ass movie that I love. And like, if I love a movie, maybe people like me will love it. And if not, and it's cheap, cool. If I can make a little bit of money here, I just want money because all my friends are broke. I run GoFundMe's. I fundraise for poor queer people. I see people in my community, people I love every day. It's endless. It is exhausting. I have been trying so hard um, to help my community, but like, god damn it, like, we need some money. And like, if I had a job, if I could make a movie, make like any money to like help people, to like it like get a house and like let my friends live in it, like, is that a dream I could never have? Not even a house though. I'd be happy to help my friends with like a couple $100 on their GoFundMe's. Um, yeah. Anyway, like, it'd be cool to make a little bit of money, but like, if not, like, I have never made money in my life. Look at me. Do I look like a rich person? Do I look like somebody who's stacking hundos, bundos of hundos, thundos? No, I'm a poker player, and I'm a mid-stakes poker player. That's not as cool as a pro poker player. Although those guys lie about how much money they make too. I have a Mike Madison's gone fucking broke, and he's like a big name. Don't get me started on poker. But I am not a rich person, and if I am never rich and I make great art and I die, you know, I left something behind that meant something, and that's really at the end of the day, at this point in my life, saying something that matters is very exciting to me. Would be cool to make money though. Would be cool to have healthcare, not worry about insulin, not worry about security. Be nice. I live in a capitalist society. I operate as an individual, unfortunately. Um, but that said, not to get into my woes and wearies, I'm very, very excited about our new movie. And we're doing auditions, and I can't say names yet, but we got someone that I really fucking admire, that really stands for something. There's not a lot of heroes in our community. Not a lot of people do stuff that matters. I've said Keppel's bought kiwi farms, and that does not, people do not like when I say that. But like, what it like? Okay, like, I'm not defending Keppel's. Just to be clear here, on video, I have no official opinion on Keppel's. If you hate Keppel's, fine. I'm sorry to even say her name as someone who's avoiding controversy. But on the topic of people who've done things for our community, what she did to take on kiwi farms is something that, like, I know people who've been kiwi farm. Slowing them down did good for our community. Although they basically just moved it to libs of TikTok. But like, she fucking did something. And yeah, maybe she did a bunch of other stuff that's garbage and whatever. But make a list of trans people who've done something. I would say Jacqueline Moore is a name that I like to bring up. She walked out of Netflix over some Chappelle bullshit. That's some fucking real shit. But then you're like, I don't know, like Erin Reed covers news. Like, are we at the point now where like reporters? I mean, and what she does is important. I'm not trying to say it. I'm just saying there's not a lot of people in our community who've had the opportunity or the power to do things that like meaningfully move the ball down the field. Hunter Schafer got arrested at a Palestine rally. Like, based. I love you, Hunter Schafer. Like 5 stars. Like, a cool fucking thing to do. And Sick with the Bella song. Like, see her new movie. But my point is, there's not a lot of people who mean something, and I'm getting someone involved in my movie who's done something that I really admire, that I really think is cool, that I really think, like, she stood up to some people who gave her some shit. And as soon as I can say her name, I'm like so excited. Also, just like getting to meet and work with people too. I forgot how much I loved the casting process, and that not only do you get to like, casting's the most fun. I've said it before, because it's the part of the movie where you don't really have to do as much work as the rest. To be honest, like, you just like put out a casting call, and then like a cool person takes your words and makes them and brings them to life, and you're just sitting there in a computer being like, okay, yeah, you can do it. Like, there's no other point in the process that involves sitting and nodding and liking things. And also like rejecting people. Like, I don't like rejecting people, but like, I didn't have to leave my chair. Like, they had to do the audition in terms of like the hard work that is making movies. And then when you see a person who is great, like on my last movie when I got fucking Antoine, or like April Flores, or like this, you just see your work, like suddenly you're making a movie that means something, and you can see it, and it has someone who matters in it, and it's exciting. Casting is the only fun part of filmmaking. Casting, watching it, rapping, finishing your script, like the things that are like victories, like casting is the quickest victory. You go from putting out a casting call to having a victory. Every other part of the system is oh, editing. Don't get me started on editing on my current movie. Although I have some good news on that I want to mention at the end. But my point is, it's very exciting to be making a movie again, to not be stuck in the mud, not in year four of a movie that is 90, 100 minutes long. You know, like, yeah, I'm proud of it. Movies take a long time. It was great. And it wasn't like it was 24/7 either. Like, I say 4 years, but they were like 6 months where we were trying to get money. You know, that counts as time, even though I was doing other things. Um, Getting money is miserable. I never want to beg for money again. The things I've done to get money, and like, it's cool, but do we need 20 locations? Do we need like that many? Like, do we need a professional costume person? Couldn't we just like, we're all fucking trans women. Like, most of us are like, you know, into clothes and makeup. Can't we just have like one of us do it and like not hire a professional person? There are corners we can cut to make a movie that's almost as good and in the meaningful ways just as good. And if there's anything I've learned spending 4 years on a movie, it's what really matters. What did we spend money on that mattered? What can we do? Like, although it, like, in a way, this movie hasn't even been really making a movie, although it was really boot camp of, my tits look amazing. Like, every day my tits get better, and I cannot wait to get them much bigger. But anyway, yeah, I've learned, it's like been boot camp on how to make movies. Like, I've had so much time at every phase to learn every single fucking phase of filmmaking. I did not know how to audition people before. I sucked at auditioning this movie. The best actor in the world gave me an audition. I watched it. I'm like, it's pretty good. And then I was just like wrong. I just don't have the skills. Like, you know, when you don't know what you're doing, and like I have something in my head, you're not doing it. You suck at acting. That's the most horrible way to judge an actor because they don't know what's in your head. Like, then it's bullshit for you to expect that. What you're supposed to see is that they're making choices and taking direction, and like, you know, like now I've learned a lot. My wife's was like very into acting in college, and I've had a lot of help from talented people. But of all the things I learned in this movie, I learned that casting, like auditioning, is like a very difficult, unique skill that you can't just like fucking have some schlub off the street casting. I was really lucky. My wife called me on and Bugs too, like Sasha. I'm talking about Sasha, the star of my movie. And I saw her audition, and I thought it was good. And I was wrong. Her audition was great. Look, now that I know about auditions, now that I know about acting, now that I've worked with her, I think she's the best actor. She's the best actor I've ever worked with. Probably her and Antoine are both the best. I'll give it to her. I'll say she's the best actor I've ever worked with, or like seen. And like every time I watch my movie is good because she fucking sells it. There were scenes too, like the scene I did with her was kind of not my best. It was definitely not my best directing because I was acting in it, and you can't direct while you're acting. Or maybe you can, but I didn't. I was. It was a whole clusterfuck that day, and that some people say is the best scene in my movie. And it wasn't because I did a good job. You don't get me wrong, I got skills, baby. But that movie was good because she took over and ran the place, and she just acted her ass off. She's the kind of person that I appreciate. When she saw like that I was like that like that the scene wasn't going well, she just took over. Like that was her opportunity to be like, give me the fucking ball, let's go, let me show you some shit. And then she like did the best acting in the movie, arguably. Certainly a lot of people's favorite scene, and like, I mean, I'm biased to her because I'm in it, but she makes me look fucking good. Working with somebody like that, it is so easy to act when you're working with a great actor. All you have to do is not suck. Not to say I'm not bad. Anyone watching this wants to cast me and thinks I'm sick at acting. I'm really good at it. I'm so good. Cast me in your movie, everybody. Um, that's how you get cast. 20 minutes into your video blog, you beg. And I could go on about that, and I will. It's my new favorite thing to talk about. I'm obsessed with this new movie. It's going to be so good. I can't wait to talk about things that I can't talk about yet that are really exciting. The script is so good. I've never read a script as good in my life. I send one random page of it to people. I'm like, read this page. It's Fight Club. There's all these like Fight Club monologues about like, just wait. It's going to be so sick. And it's going to be so cheap because it only takes place in a couple apartments and on the street. Anyway, incredibly good news. I am bored talking about it. I've been trying to find an editor for my movie for, I think, 10 months now. We wrapped like 10 or 11 months ago, an embarrassing amount of time. Um, and every editor I've had except one, Alex was the shit. This isn't about you. It's funny because I bitch about editors a lot, but I did have a good editor, and sometimes I forget to mention that Alex is amazing, and I will work with on every project if she will have me, and I can't. I love Alex, but Alex isn't like an After Effects master or like some of the like specific things I'm looking for now. Um, but anyway, I've had a million of them. The last one broke my fucking heart. I thought they were great. We interviewed like 50 editors, and this one said everything I wanted to hear in the interview. They were like excited to do creative stuff. They wanted to try things. They like wanted to try effects, and we paid them a lot of money, and it didn't work out. I could, off camera, if you want to get me riled up, I was very disappointed in the amount of money we spent, the amount of work we got. But that's all I need to say publicly is that it was a disappointing experience that I got my hopes up for, and I don't really think they put a lot of work into it. I think they were just cashing checks because they like. Anyway, it sucks when that stuff happens because like it means so much to me, but to somebody else, it's just like a couple of days of work. You know what I mean? Like you're like, here's my life's work. Like I need these three things. And they're like, you know, I was busy that day. Whatever, but not to dwell on that. Sorry to go on that topic. But in good news, in great news, I finally met the person that like is the second I talked to them, it was everything I'd ever been looking for. They found me on Twitter, the best way to find people, and they like really care. They're like trans and queer and cool and fucking awesome, and they're so serious, and they use my pronouns. Like they were very sensitive about my pronouns. They said like I mentioned my pronouns. And I'm like, they're fair, but nobody gets it right. My wife doesn't get it right. You don't have to stress about getting it right. Like, they're both consider them bonus points. She, her is fine, but if like you want to make me feel good about myself, you can give me. I really appreciate it when people do it, but I've never like snapped at it, especially queer people. I'm not gonna be like, get my very hard like neo pronouns perfectly. Like I at a certain point in life, you have enough things to get mad at without demanding people get your neo pronouns right. But I was like, so don't worry about it. She's like, no, I want to worry about it. I'm going to be talking about you in interviews. Like, I want to work with you. I want to get them right every time. And like, even like on top of everything else about them, that was one of those moments where you're like, this is just somebody I want to be in business with. This is somebody who like is fucking real, like who's a fucking real ass person. But to get back to it, they cut a trailer from my movie. I sent them a copy of the movie to watch, and like they just took the initiative to like cut a trailer from my movie, and I showed it to my wife, who, quite frankly, at year 4, loves my movie, but is tired of watching it. I watch it all the time in the living room. Like, if I hate Law and Order, she hates fucking. She doesn't hate it, but you know what I mean. Like, she's not excited about every little detail. I'd be like, Allison, I did a new scene. She's like, yeah, okay. Like, show me when I'm done. I got shit to do. But I showed her that trailer, and she watched it like 4 times. She's like, this is like really captured it. This is really fucking good, and they took initiative on this. And they called me up, and I said, like, what do you think of the movie? And everything they said. They described my movie better than I did. Honest to God, that's not like a hyperbole. I said, like, what do you think the story's about? And they said, I don't want to like spoil my own movie, but they said something that was structurally like always there that I never put into words that was correct. And I was like, you get it better than I do. And she's like, yeah, and I want to get rid of all the fuzz and just focus on what I just said and make that clear. And like cut all of the fat. And add a bunch of special effects, like this, and this, and make this and this. And just hearing them talk about it and every idea they had, I'm like, that's right. That's exactly right. That's what we need. This whole time I didn't know. It was a real fucking, we only talked for like 20 minutes because I had to go. Embarrassingly, I'd hired another editor. I was taking them out to dinner. And then they called and blew my mind. And I'm like, fuck, I'm late for dinner. And I had to go to dinner with another editor and be like, thank you for coming to dinner and watching my movie. I will be paying for dinner. I will pay for another dinner with you. But like, I'm gonna go with this other person, and like, and if they fall through, you're the backup, or maybe I can kick you stuff. And then they were very gracious about it, and we ended up having a really nice dinner and talking about, anyway, it's all cool, but it was like very funny to be like, I'm late, I need to go to a dinner to someone I'm definitely not hiring. It was very LA too, because for the first 10 minutes, like I didn't just come out and be like, as soon as they show up, I'm gonna be like, you're fired. I was like, oh, like, what'd you think of it? Like, we talked about it a little, and then it was like, anyway, I don't know why I'm telling that story. It was just like a very LA moment of like, like, where have you been for for 11 months I've been killing myself. I found the dream fucking team. And then they didn't really want to do anything to it. I said, "What do you want to do with it?" They're like, "I just want to like clean it up and get the audio good." I was like, "Okay, like that wasn't like that's cool. I appreciate it. They were an awesome person, and you know, in a way, and it is a good enough movie at this point. I mean, to be honest, I'm almost being greedy that I was dreaming about this perfect person. It was the same with casting. I wanted the perfect person for my movie, and there were people who were good, but like I just kept waiting. We needed to get our GoFundMe out, and it was already like my GoFundMe was released, and we were still like it wasn't cast. It had one person on the GoFundMe and a two-person movie, and I was just like waiting for that fucking unicorn. Like I was just praying, and my wife was like, "You can't just sit around and hope someone auditions." That's the thing. Although auditions, I said, are the most fun part, they are also the most powerless part. And if you get 10 auditions and none of them are good, what do you do then? You know, do you sit around and wait for more? Do you beg someone? Casting can be the most fucking castrating, awful fucking. Casting this movie was a nightmare. Casting trans people in particular, there are not many trans actors. I've talked about this many times, and now that I'm auditioning for my movie, I've had a public casting call. Tens of thousands of people have seen it on Twitter. I posted on websites, posted everywhere. Any actor should see it. If you're a trans actor and you haven't seen a casting call for my movie, tell me where I should post it. Especially if you're a trans actor of color. I want to cast I really want to emphasize you know, people of color. I would make movies with no white people if I got enough auditions. And I know they're out there too. It is a failure on my part to connect with that community, but I have done everything I can to get my casting call out. To the point of like, I don't know. I ask everyone if anyone sees this and wants to leave a comment, and you know how I can connect with the trans queer community of actors. Please let me know because I am doing something wrong, or there aren't a lot of them. I find that hard to believe, but yet I have a public casting call that tens of thousands of people see. I mean, maybe that's just a community thing. My point is, it's even casting white. I have tens of thousands of people have seen this casting call already. It's been out for a week. Um, I have gotten zero auditions from people in LA, and I've gotten maybe three auditions, not from people that I've asked that I already knew, that I like approached. I've gotten none from a public casting call. No, of any color, of any type of, and it's also like non-binary. I'm open to anything. I've not gotten auditions for anything. It's very hard to get auditions. If you cast cis people though, you go on Backstage.com and you get 10,000 in the first hour in LA because there's a million actors. But when you start wanting something niche like queer people, like non-binary people, try to have a non-binary casting call if you don't have a casting agent. Like, good luck. There's not a lot of them. You know. Anyway, not to go on about that, but that's what I've been dealing with lately. And although I'm very excited about the casting we have, would love a lot more auditions. When I cast my kid show, you have a casting call for a kid show. I want to say like 300 auditions within 48 hours. I didn't have time to watch all of them. I did watch all of them. Of course you do. Every audition's so exciting when you're casting anything. But yeah, like I had 300 auditions in 48 hours. I've been casting this movie, which is like a major motion picture, and I have some heat behind me. My first movie, although like it's been stuck in the mud, like it's got a little bit of heat that I'm legit. It's got big people in it. I can say that. Like I can be like, oh, here's my last movie. It stars like John Ennis and Chapo Trap House and fucking Antoine Mackay and Bugs Matrix and April Flores and Annie Hardy, like not huge names, but like legit names. Especially in my community, like you know, people like trans people know who Bugs Matrix is. Like that, she has 100K specifically trans, like mostly trans followers. Like she's known by most trans people, at least in certain communities. She's of note. Antoine Mackay too. I mean, Chapo Trap House is also it. Anyway, not to just go through my cast and be like stoked on it. Although like, why not? Like I earned that shit. Like, but I think my point is that casting can be really demoralizing sometimes too. But I'm so excited about this one, and I've learned a lot, and it's going pretty well. I don't want to go on about this forever. I can. But my point was, my editor is fucking the unicorn I was dreaming of, and like showed up at the very last minute. We were like minutes away. I actually called my producer a couple days ago and said, I give up. Let's just release this movie. I don't want to sit around and hire the 11th editor who doesn't get it. Did I say something that to me seems simple, but I've not found someone who, the amount of people I've almost gotten, the amount of editors, like I almost had Harmony Korine's editor, but he's got a new movie coming out and he's busy, or I almost had another name that I was very excited about who booked a higher paying gig at the last minute, or like the amount of just like bullshit. At a certain point, my movie is good, Does it like, if it's like 88, like my friend draws comics, she calls something the 70%, they call something the 70% theory, which is when you draw a comic, you don't draw the best art you possibly can. You do it about 70% as good as you need to, because you need to do a lot of pages, and you'll go crazy if you are one of those people. Comics has the highest, I love this dress, but it's got this weird bump in the back. Comics has a high burnout rate, and you need to acknowledge that before you start. And if you drive yourself crazy being Chris Ware and like 100%ing everything, like at 70% is you're just trying to get ideas across. And there's something to be said for, at a certain point, just putting your movie out. Okay, like it's good enough. Like, but and I told my producer, I'm like, this is good enough. Let's just hire the editor I was going to hire. Let's just smooth it out, tighten it up a little, address a couple things that we know, and just put the movie out. And fucking at this point, like it's a good movie. Why does it have to be an absolute auteur masterpiece? Can it be like a very good auteur masterpiece? Can it just? Can it's been 11 at a certain point? Like I'm growing old here. I need to move on with my life. I need to get it out and make the next one. I'd given up, and then fucking Zira fell from fucking heaven, and we start tomorrow. I met her tonight at People's Joker. I saw the VHS release party of that. It was an experience. It's 31 minutes. We just go and we go and we go. It's been a long time since I did one of these, and I miss it. I've had a lot of audio problems. I think the audio will suck on this. I'm tired of fighting microphones. It's like the same thing I'm saying. Like at a certain point, you can spend all day making it perfect, or you can just get your message out and like let the people who can put up with slightly bad audio. Although the numbers suck. If I have good audio, I can get like 500 views on these. Bad audio barely makes 30 sometimes. So sorry, I'm doing my best. Like I think you should be able to hook a microphone into a computer to just work. But yeah, one other thing tonight, I went to People's Joker, and I won't tell the whole story because like I should run it by the person before I get too specific on it. But I had a friend who was like a really close friend of mine. We hung out every day. I loved him. Early in transition, they were there for me. It's hard to be friends with someone early in transition, and the fact that they were meant a lot to me, and they were really cool. And we had a weird falling out. We never had a fight in our lives. Then we had like one thing happen, and yeah, and that was it. And it wasn't even a big deal. I just think like I don't know. Like I do know, but I don't want to say it because like I don't want to. I just think like queer people can sometimes be emotional, and like about things that like maybe whatever. Like it's not important to the story. The point was it was just a crazy thing that happened, and I didn't hold any grudges, but I felt bad it happened. And it wasn't even a big deal we had a falling out on, and it always kind of made me sad that like I mean in a way, at a certain point in your adult life, when like someone stops being your friend over kind of a bullshit reason, I'm not going to stay up at night crying every night. I'm just going to make a new friend. I'm an adult. I can make friends. I'm likable. I have a lot of friends. It's not a big deal. But it was always sad. You know, it's always sad when you lose a good friend. And I was really sad about it and like a little hurt. And I never thought I'd see them again. And if I did see them again, I thought it'd be awkward. And I bumped into them tonight. And I saw them, and part of me wanted to just kind of like walk past them and mumble something shitty under my breath, be like, "Hey, fuckface," like, or like whatever, like, you know. But you know, maybe if I was in a different mood, I might have done that. Although, like, part of me wanted to, but when it happened and I saw my friend, like, I was just like, dude, like, and I think what I said is I'm like, oh, this person's like an amazing artist. Like, I turned to my girlfriend, because like it was kind of awkward for them too, and I just said, oh, hey. You know, like, hang on, like, this is an amazing artist. I showed you their art a couple weeks ago. Their art really meant a lot to me. And then I kind of walked away, and then my girlfriend was like, you know, like, oh, I loved your art. And then, like, they approached them, and they, like, talked about it. And my friend was really caught off guard, because now suddenly a random person was, like, complimenting their art, which meant a lot to them. And I just gave them space. And then, like, to their credit, like, 10 minutes later, they just came outside and were like, sorry. You know, like how often do people apologize ever in this fucking world, especially to a trans woman? To be honest, like people do not feel bad about hurting me. Not to get into it, but like people don't feel bad hurting me. That's the whole idea of trans people. They're people you can be mean to and not feel bad. Have you seen Society? That's our thing, unfortunately. Even other trans people. But they walked over and they apologized, and I just was like, I don't know. So I don't have to get into a whole story. But I just got really emotional. I was like, I loved you, man. I like don't know what happened. Like, you know, like whatever. But like, and we hugged and we talked for 20 minutes and caught up and like, I never thought that would happen. I never thought this person would. I don't know. It really caught me off guard. I'd really just moved on. But yeah, I don't know. The last thing I said was, I'm like, call him to hang out if you want, and if not, I understand. Good luck. It was great seeing you. Because, you know, um, yeah, it was pretty fucking cool. People's Joker, connecting people. You know, like it or not. Like it or not, it's a small community, trans LA stuff and film stuff. I'll leave it at that. I think that's a good place to stop. This is a 35-minute one. Thank you for making it to the end. I think this was low content and not a particularly good one. I say that at the end of all of them, but this one I'm positive about. As you know, I watch my video blogs every single day. I've seen all of them a million times. Um, People say it's weird, and like, I don't know, maybe it is, but like, to be honest, I keep getting surgeries, and it's like very, I'm getting used to my face and just like seeing what I look like, and then seeing older videos back to back, and also like, I'm not tonight, but like working on my voice and working on my presentation. Like a lot of gender is a performance. Spoiler for gender. A lot of gender is a performance, and performing and like seeing how I communicate and how I talk, and seeing how I look is like it actually is useful to me for seeing, like, for critiquing myself and seeing how I come across to people, because suddenly how I come across to people is a lot more complicated than when I was just a hot white dude who could say whatever he wanted and be hot all the time. It came very natural to me being a hot dude, whereas performing femininity, there's not a rule book on that, and anyway, you get it. It's nice to watch myself. Also, I just love watching myself. I obviously love the sound of my own voice. David Foster Wallace wrote a short essay. It was like, try to sit in a room and talk by yourself for an hour. For 10 minutes, it's so hard. Yeah, it's so hard to talk in a room with no one. And I'm like, skill issue, dog. Like, I believe it was Consider the Lobster. It was the last essay on conservative talk radio and his relationship to it and his take on it. And I remember thinking, like, if you can't talk for 30 minutes, any of my friends can talk. Any of my cool friends can talk for 30 minutes. A lot of my cool friends, born podcaster generation. He was Gen X, and he didn't. And I feel like a lot of his insights, not to like go at David Foster Wallace. I like Consider the Lobster. I tried A Pale Horse. I tried Infinite Jest. Like, no way. I don't care about tennis. I don't want to read a book about tennis. I also don't think addiction's very interesting. It's not a lot of people I know like love writing about and like reading about addiction, but like, I don't know, didn't affect me. Didn't have alcoholic parents. Had an alcoholic priest. Not the same thing. And it's cool if it does, but personally, like reading David Foster Wallace, like addiction, and you're like, I mean, sucks, man. I don't care. I'm more interested in French existentialism, Holocaust literature. I'm really into Malcolm X lately. Although he's kind of, I don't know. Any interview I see with him, no one brings up the patriarchy. I really like his comments on intersectionalism and the patriarchy. I mean, I love his speeches. Like, obviously, like, who doesn't? And there's a lot to take from like for where I'm at, and like his struggles are so different. I don't know, not to get into a complicated thing to say simply. Um, but to go back to ripping on David Foster Wallace before I finish up, you never know what's going to be a trend and what's going to be a trope. What is very insightful to you in this moment, and what will matter in 6 months. I always say when I made my Christian show, I thought it made a lot of sense in context of the moment when like YouTube was new and there was something very exciting about the kind of YouTube video you'd watch and be like, is that real? Or is that like fake? Like that was like a new thing with YouTube where people would send you something and be like, is he actually that crazy, or is this like a performance art thing? Like an Andy Kaufman thing. But that is like got very old very quickly, and suddenly no one cared what reality was. But like we based a lot of our like what we thought was interesting on that. And I think a lot of what David Foster Wallace was into, authenticity, his obsession with authenticity, not selling out, were very like issues that as a society we kind of reconciled that authenticity is like not that important, or like we all have our own theories on it. We don't think about it anymore. It's not as new of a thing. And I think a lot of what he had to say was very of its time and of its moment, more than he could have predicted. Although he's a genius. Come on, man. What's a trend? What's a trope? Are you a genius or not? Hell of a writer though. Like he obviously has a good voice. I've read his work. I like it, but I just feel like sometimes I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, you were like this was pre 9/11. It's like it's like very 90s. It's very grunge era. I feel like he was very into like the philosophy of grunge music. I feel like a lot of his stuff was like a very over intellectualized take on like Nirvana to some degree. I don't know. What do I know? Maybe I'm a plebe. Um, I'm a dumb slut. Also, but my last thing while I'm going into 40 minutes, because I don't give a fuck. I miss video blogs. Welcome back. Welcome to my C- video blog with bad audio. What's up? Suck my dick. I'm the shit. I lost my train of thought again. Oh well. Um, I don't know. My movie's gonna be sick. I got a good editor. Bumbleclad. I'm also getting FFS in 2 weeks. I will have a lot to say about that. I have had experiences with my surgeon that I should not talk about publicly until after I get the surgery. But a woman can't do anything with her body without a man signing off on it. On that note, I love you all. Squish Crybaby, if you made it to the end, I owe you like $5. This was you owe. You deserve better video blogs than this. We all do. Anybody else who made it to the end, I love you. No homo. Bumbleclap.